What's going on, guys? I did something kind of stupid. I had the part 1 and part 2 of the PlayStation 1 collection, going through all my video games and stuff, showing you guys everything. So I did part 1, I did part 2. There was gonna be a third part, but I somehow ended up deleting the whole clip. You know how it goes. So everything is pretty much gone. So at this point, I'm just saying screw it, and I'm just gonna go ahead and just show you my whole collection. I'm gonna do it much faster this time. So I'm gonna do it again instead of just letting the collection video just kind of die. If you're new to the channel, you hit subscribe, you make sure to slap that like button right in its jabroni face. So without further ado, you know how we do. We're gonna go ahead and look at some PlayStation 1 games, because the PlayStation 1 is the most near and dear to me. So like I said, I'm just gonna try to kind of fire off here. We got Contra, Legacy of War, and I have 2 copies for some reason, I don't really know why. Road Rash 3D, this is actually a really great game. I love it. I got it for $1.99 at this local retro store that used to be right down the street from where I live now. Of course, Rugrats, Search for Reptar. It's kind of a cool game. It's a kid's game, but I played it when I was maybe 11 or 12, and I always liked the Rugrats. This is a game me and my brother, we played a lot of, and so I found it for cheap, and I went ahead and bought it. Of course, Tony Hawk Pro Skater. The story behind this was, you know, when this game came out, this was the one to have. This was, you know, I was getting it for Christmas. I think it had come out that summer, and some of my other friends, they had it. So we saw it, we got to play it. We of course had demos of it. I played the demo kind of just over and over and over in the first level there, the warehouse. And so when Christmas time came around, there was a couple games that I said that I wanted, and I said, out of all of them, make sure Tony Hawk Pro Skater, make sure that's the game that you get me, because if for any reason you aren't able to find that game or aren't able to buy it, like, I'm gonna be sad. So if only one game can be had, I'd rather have that than 3 or 4 others. So I got it, and I was definitely thrilled. Fighting Force, that's another classic from back in the day. This, you know, my favorite Crash Bandicoot game out of the original trilogy. Cool Borders 2. I remember first playing the demo with this, and the game wasn't out yet, and it was coming out like that following Friday. I'm pretty sure it was a Friday because it was the weekend. We were gonna be going to the mall, and I went to the mall searching for it. You know, Grind Session, another great one. But I went to the mall searching for Cool Borders 2, and nobody had it. I don't know if nobody ordered it. I think from what I remember correctly was that they had them, but it just kind of sold out because that was kind of one of the hot games at the time. So NASCAR 98, this is another one that's just near and dear to my heart. I used to partake in some NASCARage. It of course went down over the years, but back in the late 90s, that was pretty much when I watched it. So this here, World Is Not Enough, that was supposed to be and was gonna be in my head. This game here I just got the other day at the Goodwill store. I haven't played it yet. I might do a video on this just to play it for fun, because it's got all the classic old guys in it. But yeah, The World Is Not Enough, that was a game that I thought was going to basically be the sequel to GoldenEye 007, and that just wasn't the case, sadly. Death Trap Dungeon, I don't think I played this yet either, and it's you know, made by Eidos. And I got that also at the Goodwill store. I'm pretty sure I got this at the Goodwill store. There's actually quite a few like this. I didn't have this growing up. I would never have bought something like this, but it was only $2 or $3 at the Goodwill store. So actually probably a good third of this collection is from the Goodwill store. But something like Twisted Metal 4, Final Fantasy 9, Final Fantasy 8, Final Fantasy 7, all the sorts of games like that. Those are all my originals from back in the day. So a little bit of Formula 1 2000. I remember having a demo to that, or I think it was maybe 98 or 99, and was on a demo disc, which I will be getting to shortly. And we used to play it, and you would go just completely, you would just go so crazily fast. and spin out of control, and your Formula One car would just explode into polygonal triangles and shapes. Like, it would just completely explode. Jet Moto 2. You know, I always loved Jet Moto, but to me the first one is the best. You race against 19 other people as you go through the season, and there's 9 different tracks, I believe, or a total of 10. Actually, I think it is. And so as the series went on, it ended up being less and less. Jet Moto 2, you basically race against 9 others, so there's a total of 10 racers, and I think 7 or 8 tracks. And then by the time Jet Moto 3 came out, you were racing against, I think, 3 or 4 other racers. So there was only like 4 or 5 or 6 racers. But it just wasn't as good. Less racers, less chaos on the track, less characters to actually race with and pick from, and also less tracks. So I'm hoping someday that we can get a new Jet Moto. So hashtag new Jet Moto. I don't know who's actually owning that IP or in charge of it. Go ahead and tweet that out. I've already tweeted it. I always loved Rocket Power. This game it's not very good at all, really, but it's fun to go back and hear, you know, Sammy and the Squid and Twister and all the Shoobies. I always loved Rocket Power. Kiss Pinball. This was a game that I would have bought in probably, like the year 2000, when maybe Walmart or Kmart, they still had cheap PlayStation games still in their case. Of course, Battle Arena Toshinden. Cool Borders 3. Still a good game. The Cool Borders series, to me, I played them. Of course, I love them. We all loved them. But then it seemed like as you went back to them, even just a couple years later, like after the PlayStation 2, and even up to now, when you just go back to it, they haven't aged that great. You know, a little Soviet Strike, Crash Team Racing. I got this one for Christmas right after it had come out. Great game. I'm glad that they just kind of did the remaster for that. And of course the Crash Bandicoot, so you can't go wrong. Here's the mighty Jet Moto. And this was my original one. I wish I had a black label, but it is the greatest hits. Just one of the funnest games. Like, going through and having the different motos, I guess, are the vehicles, and having like the Butterfinger and the Mountain Dew sponsorship in there. Like, it was always just cool, especially because being kids, you eat and drink garbage. Metal Gear. It's just a box. Oh, the DARPA chief. I always loved Psycho Mantis reading your memory card. Here's Grand Theft Auto. I had a copy of this with the book and everything, and it was in great shape. I let a neighborhood friend borrow it, and weeks and months went by. I kind of forgot about it. And then when it was time to give it back, it was like, oh, that's right, I sold my PlayStation. And I never let him live it down. Siphon Filter. A very choppy but good game, and also one that kind of did add new elements to like the shooting genre, like kind of the strafing and, you know, some of the weapons, and you had like different things to break into doors, and you had different explosives and stuff. And I would say not the best shooter, but it added new things to the genre that later just seemed to kind of drift away from that genre as a whole, which I think even now some of the stuff could be kind of revived from it and could actually prove to be good. Another game that I hoped would be a sequel to the great 007, and it just wasn't. Epidemic. Because occasionally I'll go to the Goodwill store, I won't even have my PlayStation hooked up, and then I'll find something like this, which I don't think that I even have played this version of Gauntlet, because I've just played the same game so many different times, from like the arcade to the GameCube. So getting it on PlayStation wasn't really some pivotal crazy thing for me. So Chrono Cross, there was a guy that basically bought up abandoned storage lockers, and I ended up hooking up with him on Facebook, and I bought that off of him. It was extremely good condition. Cool Borders 2001. I think that is the last of the series. WWF Warzone. The Rattlesnake. Stone Cold Steve Austin. Austin 316. Because Stone Cold said so. The toughest SOB in the WWF. I don't even know what the WWE is. When you say the WWE, it just sounds flat. And that was around the time where I stopped enjoying wrestling altogether, but rest assured, 1997, 98, 99, 2000, even up to 2001, Monday Night Raw after the Walker Texas Ranger, that's where you would find me. Sled Storm. I remember just getting this kind of on a whim, because I always liked racing and snowboarding games and stuff like that. And ooh, look at this brutal print-off cover. Brutal Video Exchange. But so Sled Storm was just a game that I just randomly got, and it seems to be revered a bunch. Quite a few people, like, they say that they played it when they were a kid. I remember this game. I haven't played this in forever, but the super arcadey action, like the dives and the super jukes and the spin moves, I just bought that game like 2 weeks ago at the Goodwill store. So Final Fantasy VII, this is a game, I still have the receipt in the booklet for this, and I'll never forget the day that I bought it and just going home. And really, it was one of the first major RPGs that I ever actually experienced, that I just remember putting into my PlayStation, playing through it for several hours, saving like it was time for dinner, and all I could think about was just the whole first part of the game and going through like the reactors and stuff. One of the greatest games of all time. Really pumped for the Final Fantasy VII remake. It looks like they've really gone above and beyond, and it actually, I thought I was gonna be disappointed. I thought, here's a good game. This one's actually pretty good for its time. But with the Final Fantasy VII remake, I really thought that they were, when they first mentioned it, and then it kind of disappeared, and then it kind of came back, and you heard some more rumblings, and then it kind of disappeared again, and then they said that they restarted development. But it doesn't seem like all that time was for nothing, and that it was just a waste and in vain. Like it really seems like they put in the time and the effort. Here's the, of course, giant big box from back in the day. I wish I had more of these, but man, 1993, 94, like, this is one of the earliest games, and the disc itself feels like it never had even been taken out. So that are all the mainline sort of games that I own. But also, of course, this came in the Cyber Sled case that I just showed. And this is just cool because this was kind of like the launch, the big box pamphlet, that we got with the PlayStation. So it took a long time for the PlayStation to arrive, but this is what it showed up in. And of course, it's got all the games and the classic console war type terminology and punchlines for kind of the ad. And of course, the PlayStation magazine. I had always wished that back in the day I had taken advantage, because those magazines were great, and they would come with the demo discs, and the demo discs would have codes and stuff like that on them, and they would have interviews and videos and in studio like filming, and you would see people actually making the game, or you'd see sort of like a mini documentary showing like the actual people working on the computers, or it kind of cut to actual footage of the computers that are making these things, and it would show like the models spinning that are like not complete, or like some of the storyboarding and some of the unfinished elements that were going on as the game progressed. And that was always cool to see, something I always wished that I had taken more advantage of. So now we'll just get to my very small, very humble sealed PlayStation 1 collection. And these, I've basically found all of these at Goodwill, but it's just so cool to see them with the label still on the top. You know, a little bit of pro golf here, which this is probably a pretty good game for it being golf. I don't know. But I don't think I'll ever open these because I don't really have a desire to play them. This could be an alright game, but it's cool to just see them sealed and still have the tag. And knowing that even though the plastic is scratched, you know, on the inside is a perfectly mint brand new game and booklet. You know, of course, A Bug's Life. I think this also had come out on the 64. I think I played that. And of course, the great Rainbow Six, which I played a lot of that on PC. That was basically like the summer of '98, playing, you know, my very first PC with a Net Zero disc or a blue light special disc that came free from the customer service desk at like Kmart or Walmart, and then you had the Net Zero. So here's also demo discs, and these were the ones that my friend gave me, but you would get these at something like Pizza. And they were just always cool because they had a couple games on it, and it was just a complete sampler. Sampler disc number 6. Here's the 2 Pizza Hut ones that I was talking about. And of course, you know, I'm a fan of Reggie Fils-Aimé, and you think about him being pre-Nintendo and being the CEO of Pizza Hut, and then having demos like this come out, and these were great because they have, you know, and these are great because they got Final Fantasy VIII, Tony Hawk Pro Skater, Crash Team Racing, Ape Escape, The Next Tetris, Spyro, Gran Turismo 2, Sledstorm. And these are things you just don't see anymore. I kind of wish they were sealed, but they're still very cool. And then, of course, as a kid, the summer that Pokemon came out, we all had Game Boys, we all rode our bikes, we all rode our scooters, we'd all go downtown like pretty much every day or every other day. There was like a hot dog joint. Right next door was the card place, and that's where we got all of our Pokemon cards. And those were our summers for at least 2 of them with the Pokemon craze and the cards and stuff like that. And that's pretty much what we did every single day or every couple days. And then we would go down and we would go to Kmart and we would peruse around the game section. And then they started actually putting these out for $5. You have like the season, like summer of 2000, and they would have all the latest and greatest games that are coming out for that period. So this is probably one of the first spots where I played like Tony Hawk or The Legend of Dragoon. That's also one that I have that, and I believe it's at my mom's house. And so for some reason when I moved, that I think was in a CD rack that might still be in one of my old dresser drawers at my mom's house. And for some reason, I don't have The Legend of Dragoon on me. So that should be one that's also added to the collection. Here you got Elmo's Letter Adventure. That was always something me and one of my friends, a couple of my friends actually, we would play. We would just riot over and just make fun of it. Tetris, Tony Hawk, 3 Extreme, Ape Escape. Can't go wrong with that. Ridge Racer. Here's one of the earlier ones from winter '98. And so every once in a while these would come out for $5 at like the local Kmart. And we'd be like, man, for $5, like this one here has the Metal Gear Solid demo on it, and Spyro, and NFL Game Day, and Rallycross, and A Bug's Life. And so for $5, this was kind of a game in its own. Like that would keep us going for several days. It had other things on it. Some of them had like cheat codes that would download to your memory card off of this disc, and then you would play it. Here's another one I got. I wish I had the disc for it because it doesn't tell you what games are on it. And then this is the one, Volume 4, that came with my PlayStation. So that's pretty cool. So from everything to these demo discs, which were always, you know, for $5, it basically was its own game. We'd go home and play these demos and do the codes and for different games and stuff, and see videos and interviews and making ofs. and makings of for new games that were going to be coming out. And it kind of just showed you like what was going to be up ahead, and they were always just very cool to have for $5. So just to wrap up, here's the giant stack. Some of them are upside down, some of them are on their sides. Not a very good shot. Again, right here, some more of the classics. I frickin' love the PlayStation 1. It's just one of my favorite systems ever. So apologies for deleting the rest of it. I think it was better than what this video is going to be, but I didn't want this to run on for too long. So that's the whole PlayStation 1 collection. So what did you guys think? Give it a like, give it a thumbs down, please, you know, respect the subscribe button and go ahead and subscribe if you're new here. I'm going to be doing a couple more collections. I'm going to show off basically all of my games that I have. I also have some more videos coming up, doing some more in-depth stuff on certain titles that came out that are my favorites, so look forward to that. Thanks guys for watching this video. This is D-Dub, and I will see you guys later. Peace out. So this is D-Dub, and I'll see you guys later.